we will be able to look at as a second example. Assume the probability of a positive cash flow is 5%. The required rate of return is 10%, just as before. The value of the IP is expected to decline by 3% per year, and the cash flow is 1 shilling. Calculate the value of the IP. Now in this case, the positive cash flow now over here, instead of being 0.45, you're being now told, so solution 2, this is solution 1 there. So we are saying it is still V0 is equal to price times cash flow over R minus G. The cash flow we're being informed is 0.05, or positive cash flow, multiplied by 1 over R minus G remains 0.1 minus 0.03, like that. So how much is the value of the IP? 0.05 multiplied by 1 divided by the bracket 0.1 plus 0.03 bracket 0.385 shillings there. Now you also need to notice one thing, that once we've computed the value of the IP, as this component reduces, the price, rather the cash flow, the expected cash flow reduces, then you can be able to see also by extension, because they are directly proportional to each other. If this one increases, then you expect this one to also increase. If this one reduces, then you also expect the value of the IP to also reduce there. Now, if you're told to calculate the return requirement, or this required return, so we can be able to try and make R the subject of formula, and from this, so we already have V0 is given as P times CF over R minus G. So we try and cross multiply to make R the subject of the formula, that is the required return. So we have VOR, V subscript O R, and then minus V subscript O G is equals to price times CF, like that. Now we take this on this other side, so we have VOR is equals to PCF minus plus V0 G, like that. So we divide by V0 on both sides. So we have R is equals to PCF over V0 plus V0 over V0 G. So that can go like that. So we have R is given as PCF over V0 plus G. There. That's what gives us the required return, like that. With this is the required return, this is the price, the cash flow, or the probability that is going to get increased cash flow, the value, and the growth rate. Now, once we've looked at that, we now need to look at smoothing of alternative assets. That will conclude that subsection of intellectual property. So we can look at it on this side. So smoothing of alternative assets. Yeah. So we can say that real assets are illiquid, and most are not. Are not traded on an exchange, are not traded on an exchange. As a result, real assets are valued based on appraisals resulting in lower price. Resulting in smoothing, not lower prices. Smoothing of prices. This results in lower prices and returns. Or rather return volatility, which makes an asset look less risky. Than it might actually be. And that is what you're saying is smoothing. So we are saying that real assets tend to be very illiquid, and also they tend to have prices that tend to fluctuate so much. So smoothing is necessary, or trying to get an average of the prices of alternative assets, of real assets to be specific. I'm actually meant over here to be not alternative assets, this should be real assets, not alternative assets, pardon me. This should be real assets. Now, once we've looked at the smoothing of real assets, now we can now concentrate on another subsection which deals with private real estate investments. From this summary right over here, we are saying that private real estate investments are what a key focus should be. There is private real estate investments, and we will also look at public real estate investments. So to start off by looking at private real estate investments, we will look at the forms, the characteristics, the reasons for investing in that, and also the risks for investing in private real estate investment. So we start private real estate investments. Private real estate investments. So what we start by looking at the forms. That's what we expected to do, forms. The best way to describe the forms of private real estate investment can be drawn in a two-dimensional quadrant, or a four-dimensional quadrant rather, where we have private and public being on that first form, and then we have debt and equity being on the other form, on the other side, like that, the second form. So we can now draw subdivisions like that, so that we can say that when we hold this side constant like that, we'll be looking at private and public forms of real estate. We can also hold these two forms constant, and then we say that there's also going to be debt forms, like that, and equity forms of investment like that. So looking at that four-dimensional, two-dimensional quadrant, what we can say is that if it is private and it is debt, we can be able to just say it is an outright mortgage. It is private and it is debt, mortgage. If it is public and if it's publicly traded and it is a debt form of instrument, this is a mortgage backed security, MBS. If it is private and it is form of equity, we can say that it is direct investment in real estate. Direct investment in real estate. If it is public and it is equity, then we are saying it is either a rate which you are saying is a real estate investment trust or real estate ownership company. That's what we are saying, FIOC. There are companies that actually outrightly own or go ahead and purchase real estate, so that with an intention of now reselling it much later. Now, this is the forms of private real estate investments. Now, the next subsection that we need to look at are the characteristics